Hello, my name is Pete and welcome to Ivy Cottage. So it's early afternoon and I'm very happy because my skip has just arrived, and it's been holding me up slightly that I haven't had one, but I didn't know that I was going to be off today, so I couldn't order one in time. So here it is anyway. The next thing for me to do is start digging the floors out from inside the old section of the house. So I'll bring you in there and show you what I'm getting up to. So this is the sitting room in the main section of the house, the old sitting room that was here. And I've broken up all the floor yesterday with the Kango hammer. So what the next thing to do is spend time digging all this off the ground into the wheelbarrow and empty it into the skip. I'm going to have to dig this floor down from the old finished floor height by about 1 foot or 300 millimeters. As far as I know, I still have to follow up on that and check that, but I think that's the sort of depth I'm going to, so there's going to be a fair bit of digging. But what it will mean is there'll be a properly insulated floor with a damp-proof membrane underneath it, and it's going to perform well and be energy efficient, which will make this house cosy and warm and take that dampness out of the house. If you pick up some of the sand and gravel that's underneath the floor there, it's really damp. And since there's no damp-proof membrane, it has only one place to go, and that's upwards through the concrete. So that's going to make this house damp, and it is damp. So by taking this out, by putting in a proper floor with a damp-proof membrane underneath it, that will stop any water travelling up through the floor. With underfloor heating, that's going to heat the house. We can start bringing any residual damp that's left in the house up and out of it and vent it out through the roof. And that's the plan, make the space dry, cosy and eco-friendly. So I have a lot of digging to do, and I must get on with it. It's going to take a good few hours to get through this, but it has to be done, so let's go. So I've been digging away here for, I'd say, just over an hour. I've got about 2/3 of the room done, and I'm happy with what I've got done. I've just taken the top surface off, so I've come down, I'd say, in the region of about 120 millimeters. So 12 centimeters. Now this has to come down, I'd say, in the region of 30 centimeters to make the floor deep enough for putting a new one back in. But this is a good start anyway, and I have to take off the top surface of rubble before I can start digging into the earth. And it does seem that underneath this gravel and stone and obviously the concrete on top is just earth, so it'll be hopefully an easier dig than what this has been. But there's a little method that I've come up with to remove this rubble easier. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling out all the big bits that I can, just in my hand first. And once you've all those out of the way, it makes digging the gravel underneath a lot easier. I suppose it probably makes sense, but sometimes you're just raring to go with a shovel and maybe you don't think as well as you should do. So that's the plan. I'm going to keep going, taking the rubble out first, digging out all the gravel and the bits of concrete left afterwards, and getting down to the 100 mils first, or the 10 centimeters, 12 centimeters, whatever it is, and then we can see about going further down. So I've nearly dug out all the floor here in the sitting room, and I was taking away the remainders of the hearth underneath the fireplace here. And if you remember earlier on, I was saying that there's often in these houses there's a fireplace within a fireplace within a fireplace, and this is the case here because this fireplace is sort of fallen out. In fact, it didn't take much pulling out at all. I just cut the top of the fire back and out it came, and all the dust and such with it. But you can see now the second fireplace, which was built into the original fireplace, and as I said, that's the arch there of the original fireplace. More than likely, now there could be another one beyond that again, but I reckon that's probably the original, because they usually had an arched shape just above. But I also said that there was usually a bellows by the side of the fire. And if you don't know what a bellows is, it's basically an old style fan. It had this round drum down the bottom with a cast iron fan in it, and up the top it had a big handle with a wheel with a handle on it, and a belt, a leather belt connected the two together. And what you did is you wound the handle to blow air underneath the fire to get it going. And I thought this house would probably originally would have had one, because I think most did. And if you look down here really closely, you can actually see the remains of the old cast iron pipe that used to supply the air into the bottom of the fire. So I'll zoom in on that a bit closer and then we can take it out and have a look. So now, it's going to be hard for you to see on the camera, just to see how far we have actually dug down, but I brought a measuring tape with me. So if you have a little look there, we're between about 13, maybe a bit more, about 14 centimetres down from the bottom of the skirting board. And in places like that, maybe a little bit more, we're up to about 19 centimetres. So it's come down nicely. You can't really see it on camera too well, but that's about 3 hours of work digging out this floor to that level. But that's all the hard concrete gone and out of the way. So that really helps us, you know, and gets me along the way. So yeah, another little step in the right direction. Hello, well. So I'm going to keep going and keep working away. I'm going to start clearing through to the hallway here beside me, the front hallway, and keep going. The more I do, the more I get there, and the more I get there, the sooner this house will be into construction mode again. So now you've seen inside and you've seen me dig out the floor, and if you do it just nice and slowly, take your time. Just don't rush into it, just pace yourself. That's what I'm trying to say, pace yourself slowly through it. You'll make some great progress. And as you can see, that small depth, between 12 and 19 centimetres as we saw inside there, half fills a skip. So I suppose it's safe to say that for every room that I dig out, I'm going to have a skip full, and that's definitely going to put my quota of skips a bit higher. So it's just a matter of keeping going. It has to be done. I have to get there, I have to get it dug out, have to get it finished. But when I do get that far, it's going to be a wonderful moment. How do I feel right now? I suppose it's easy to get a bit depressed about things sometimes, especially when the place doesn't exactly look wonderful and it is all consistent and what's the right word for it? It's just repetitive. You're doing the same work all the time, just digging, taking down, destructing things, and it's not long before the interest wears off. Wanting to do jobs like that. But what's driving me on is I do have this dream of what this house is going to be like, and I had a dream just like that for my previous house in Middleton, and it turned out beautiful. It was just a lovely place to live. Now some of that was the neighbourhood and my neighbours and that sort of thing, but the house itself was a really nice, relaxing, warm place to be. So that's what I'm trying to create here as well, is a lovely, warm, relaxing, dry, safe place to be. And I suppose if I had one piece of life advice from what I've achieved in my life, it would be build a small house or buy a small house. The dream for most people is to own a big sprawling mansion, and I had one of those. I had a big house, a very, very big house. It was close to 3,000 square foot in size, and I was the most unhappy I've ever been in my life living there. The happiest I ever was in my little house in Middleton, which was 750 square foot. It still had 3 bedrooms, and it had a kitchen dining room and had a sitting room, and it was lovely. It was wonderful. Had a lovely garden out the back as well. So having a small house gives you just a sense of coziness, and family is the feeling you get from a small house. Whereas when you're spread to the 4 corners of a big house, you sort of lose touch with yourselves and the people you're living with. So my advice, if just for me, if I was buying another house in the morning, it would be a small house without a shadow of a doubt. I'd never want to own a big house again. Small houses are simply wonderful. Keep your family close to you and enjoy their company and live together close. It's just a wonderful thing. So that's my bit of advice. Take it or leave it. So I hope you can see this here. Just in the corner of the room, I've dug a hole down to a depth of 1 foot, just to see how far I might have to dig down and how difficult it would be to get that far. It's actually quite easy. It seems as if what's left here is just earth underneath the floor. So I'm going to dig that out. I'm not going to put this in the skip because I know that I'm going to need a bit of earth around the place, even subsoil, which this is, will be handy for me later on. So there's no point in paying to get rid of it when I'll need it back later on. So I'm going to keep the subsoil and dig it out, but it's going to make some easy digging compared to digging out the stone and the gravel earlier on. So that's a bit of good news, isn't it? So we take what we can. It's getting late now, and the evening is drawing in. It's dark outside, and I'm exhausted from all the working today. So it's time to call it a day for the evening, and I'm going to start again back here tomorrow in this bedroom in the old section of the house. So it's the downstairs bedroom in the old section of the house, and this is where I'm going to continue tomorrow. There seems to be a difference between this room and the room next door, which was the laid out as the sitting room. There seems to be earth in the floor in next door there, but there seems to be loads of hardcore rubble packed up here underneath the concrete. So what I think might be the case is, and I know I've seen it in other houses before, that one of the rooms downstairs was designated as maybe a bedroom or a living room, if there was such a thing, even though in general they were just bedrooms. There was just a kitchen and bedrooms, because this house had to house quite a number of people. But these rooms next to the kitchen often had a suspended ground floor, and that's where they just dig down the earth and they'd stack up a number of bricks on top of each other. They'd put a joist on top of that, and then they put the floorboards across the top of that, and usually the space underneath the floor was vented outside through either air bricks or some form of ventilation, and that made for a warmer environment, a less damp environment underfoot. So that's perhaps what happened here, is they took out the old floor, filled it up full of stones, and now I have to go and dig it all out again to put in a more modern floor again. But that's just the way history goes, isn't it? Things get better and better as we go along, and what I put into the cottage now and over the next year will probably be obsolete in 10 or 15 years. There'll be a better way of doing it, but for the moment I'm going to just do the best I can. So join me again tomorrow. I'll be digging away. I know it's a little monotonous, that's the word I was looking for earlier on, monotonous, that's what it is, but it must be done, and doing all these little steps is just going to get me to where I want to go, which is going to be a wonderful, wonderful place. So keep going. See you in the morning. So 2 days ago I left you in the evening, having dug out the room inside in the what was the sitting room in the older part of the house, which would originally have been the kitchen. And I thought I'd continue on into the hallway, and I got that cleared. But yesterday I came here and I forgot to bring the camera with me, but it was probably a good idea because it is a bit monotonous doing this sort of work. But what I did manage to do is I actually managed to dig out this room here, which was laid out as a bedroom. So yeah, I've dug down nearly a foot. It was all stone and rubble and sand and all sorts of stuff, so it was hard digging. But it's all clear now, so I've both floors dug out down to the earth in the old section of the house here. So the next thing to do is to find out how deep do I really need to have it for reinstating the new floor. And as I said, I've been on to an engineer about that. I haven't got an answer back yet, but when I do, at least then I can get it right. But digging the soil will be a heck of a lot easier than digging out rubble and stone. So we'll give you a quick look at that there in a moment, and you can see what the floor looks like now after a day digging. But I'm delighted it's done, and it was hard work, but it was well worth it. So this is skip number 5, and this is the contents of the kitchen and the bedroom in the old section of the house. The first floor that I dug out took up about half the skip, and the floor inside in the second room took up the other half. But what I did was I've actually removed a whole lot of stone out of there as well, and I've kept that stone because that'll be useful at a later stage, either for a bit of rebuilding work or at very worst for maybe going in a soak away later on for taking some of the rainwater from the house. Or if not that, maybe a garden feature, but at the end of the day it's stone. There's no point in spending money to throw it away, so I've kept that in a pile just behind me here. And that's it. So yeah, that's the 2 floors dug out for the moment. I might have to dig out a bit of earth to make it right, but that's another day's work. The body's a bit sore after yesterday. It took a fair bit of work getting that far, so today I'm just going to take a bit of easier work and maybe clear some of the walls and ceilings instead. It'll be a little less hard on the body. You have to vary things. If you have a tough day one day, take an easy day the next. So this is all the stone that I dug out of the bedroom in the old section of the house, and there's quite a bit of it here. So as I said before, there's no point in throwing that out. It's good stone, and it can be used for building a bit of a decorative garden wall, or perhaps a seat or a bench, or it could be used for the soak away or whatever else, or maybe there's a few repairs that I'll have to do on the old walls, and this stone will come in very handy for it. So yeah, so that's stacked up there for the moment, and saves a bit of money on skips, and hopefully it'll come in handy. I hope I won't regret this. So yesterday was a hard day's work. Today I'm going to take it slightly easier. and I'm going to strip all the hardboard off these walls. So we just take it out bit by bit and you can see how we go.